There are watches that are a product of some specific color in demand, and the watches that are produced to follow the trend. The watches to target a market and sell. But then there are watches that only relate to a story and a historic milestone, and that have a design aspect that oozes out the rhymes. These watches, I bet you, are something else. Rolex Deep Sea D-blue reference 12660 is the second generation of James Cameron version of this watch introduced in Basel 2018. Originally came out in 2008 in all black dial, Rolex introduced the D-blue trim in the Deep Sea model in 2014. And this D-blue model with gradient blue dial was released only to commemorate James Cameron's journey to deepest part of the ocean in 2012. Rolex took the Deep Sea challenge and produced prototype of this watch in bigger 51mm case and 28.5mm thickness to allow the watch to take the plunge into the deepest known part in the oceans, in Mariana Trench, at the depth of about 11,000 meters or 36,000 feet. The submersible vessel that took the dive was known as Deep Sea Challenger. During the expedition, James Cameron had Rolex Deep Sea on his wrist, and the prototype watch was strapped onto the submersible to sustain the actual pressure at the deepest point in the oceans, which it achieved successfully, and watch came out ticking precisely and accurately. The gradient blue on the dial in that context represents the color of water at the surface being blue and transitions into black as you continue the dive to reach the deepest point where light can't, and it's all black. The color of the font for Deep Sea represents the actual green color of the submersible vessel that was used for the expedition. Never before had Rolex produced a watch that was truly representative of such historic journey, and then every feature of dial relating to the event and telling you the story. This reference replaced last model 11660 in 2018, and the upgrades it received were the wider bracelet, which is now 22mm versus the old 21mm bracelet, slightly redesigned case to take the new wider bracelet, minor cosmetic changes in the dial limited to the font of the text in the rehaut, and slightly longer minute and seconds hand to meet the minute graduations precisely. And then the upgraded movement 3235 offering 70 hours of power reserve. The watch is big, bold and daring. It's loud, and my personal opinion is that if you are wearing the watch that has seen the deepest part of the oceans, you want to take pride in it. The watch that marks history and Rolex's achievement to reach another milestone is meant to be bold and proud. The watch case is 44mm and the case thickness is 18mm, so this is by no means a discreet watch. It may sound a little too big, but make no mistake here, it actually wears nice even on smaller wrists, and I'll show you the wrist shot in the later section of the video. The watch has 5.5mm dome crystal, and that's also to make it waterproof to the depth of 3,900 meters. The crystal being domed sapphire enhances the experience of the wrist view as you start to see the magnification on the dial details. Since the crystal convexes out, you start to see distortion in the dial elements only when you look at the dial at an angle, and this makes the experience a little more interesting. From the top view of the wrist, of course, you won't see any noticeable distortions, so nothing to worry about. The dome crystal would also mean that the watch will reflect light and surrounding at practically any angle. This is because where flat crystals only look at 180 degrees of the view, the domed crystal will look like a fish eye and will expose more reflections and surroundings at any angle. This can be a negative for some who would say that reflections are distracting, and a positive for others who would consider this as a design character and uniqueness of the watch that's missing in the Submariners or GMTs. Rolex don't do air coating on these crystals as of now, so the reflections will be there regardless. The watch does not come with Cyclops lens, but due to domed crystal, like everything else, the date is ever so slightly magnified, so you wouldn't need a lens on it anyway. The watch comes with the same iconic maxi dial and has circular hour marker with stick indices at 6 and 9 o'clock and triangular hour marker at 12. Another design element of Deep Sea is the rehaut or the inner bezel that isn't available in any other Rolex. This is again subjective and divides the opinion, but I personally think it helps keeping the overall watch wearability a little on the smaller side. The rehaut reduces the dial size of the watch by taking up the extra millimeters on Deep Sea, and you are left out with about the same dial size on this as 40mm Rolex Submariners. So the case is for sure bigger, but the dial size is about the same. This reduces the overall heftiness of the watch and enhances the watch appearance too. The watch is 44mm and it wears nicely even on smaller wrists. The wrist size on the view is 6.5 inches or 16.5 centimeters, and the watch you can see does not stick out of the wrist. The lug-to-lug height of the watch is 52mm as opposed to 49mm on the subs, yet it wears beautifully and leaves no impression of it being oversized on the wrist. From the top view, the case profile does not flare out on either side of the wrist, meaning it makes a great size for even smaller wrists like mine. The watch, however, does wear quite tall due to its 17.7mm thickness. This can be concerning for many who prefer thinner watches that the shirts or jackets can slip over easily. I personally prefer a bit of extra substance and wrist presence on the watch, and I have no issues with its case height. It is big, thick and bold, but for all the right reasons. When I wear the watch, I want to feel it, and I want the watch to speak out aloud too. The watch also comes with glide lock clasp, which is the most advanced clasp system Rolex has to offer. This is practically the only clasp in Rolex line that you can adjust not only without the need of tools, but also without even needing to remove the watch. All you need to adjust it is to unlatch the clasp and then the glide lock holder. Slide the bracelet to wherever it suits the wrist size. Push the lock back and you are good to go. This is missing in any other Rolex professional models, Submariners included, in which case you have to remove the watch to adjust the bracelet, even though without the need of tools. Rolex Deep Sea D-blue is a watch that you would want if you prefer a watch that has some extra substance, a history and a story to link to. And if you really want to stand out, you don't necessarily need to have extra big wrists. Rather, you just need to enjoy the extra wrist presence and dare to be bold. It isn't for mild hearts and it isn't for flights under the radar. It is for you if you want to scream, "Yes, I'm here." Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the video and hit the thumbs up below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, have a good one.